All right, good morning, everybody. Good morning. Thank you very much for being here. Friday, October 3rd, 8 a.m. on the dot. Appreciate you guys joining the show, being a part of Hoops Talk. We got a full show today. Full show. Do have a guest today. I think I mentioned to everybody yesterday. Trevor Lane's going to join me, so I'm looking forward to talk some hoops with Trev. We got a lot to get into. Just a quick reminder, tonight, after the Lakers take on the Phoenix Suns, I will be doing a post-game show tonight. So tonight, I guess we're fully back. Sunday, we'll have another game that's coming up against Golden State Warriors. So back to doing a little morning and some evening action. I'll take a look at everybody's comments before we get the show started. Let me give everyone a quick rundown of what we're going to do for the day. If you guys don't mind, I got to do a better job of this. If you can please subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. So please, as you make your way in here, you come on the show. If you have yet to subscribe, please subscribe. Would greatly appreciate that. Okay, we got a lot to break down today. Like I mentioned, right out the gate here, probably in about 5 minutes or so, Trevor will join the show, and we'll get started on having a conversation just in general. I think anytime I have a guest on, especially somebody like Trevor, I want to get his perspective on things. There's been a few different things that we've hit on this week. We'll get his thoughts on that. If he could be JJ Redick for a second, who would be his starting lineup? So we'll go into all that. So I'm looking forward to doing that with Trevor Lane. Lakers Suns preseason tonight. Kind of what to expect. Expectations. We already know about 4 players that are not going to play tonight. I saw some quotes yesterday. I know JJ Redick talked yesterday as well. Kind of strategically what the Lakers will do in a preseason game, or at least the first preseason game. Clearly, these are all just ramp-up games. Don't expect Luka. If I see people tonight say, Luka's got to play more minutes. I mean, obviously, I think we all understand what's going on there. So everybody will be strategic. But listen, it will be our first chance to react to games. So that part I'm looking forward to. I want to see, like I said yesterday, being able to see some different rotations, what players shined in the preseason. Is there a lineup out there that you could start looking at that maybe we don't know today? It's like, hey, you know what? That's a really interesting lineup, or that could be a good lineup. So we'll do that as well. Bleacher Report has their power rankings. I got to be honest with everybody. I don't think I'm underestimating the Lakers, but a lot of people got the Lakers pretty high. I mean, I guess have them higher than I thought. Maybe some of that has to do with the Van Vliet injury. I'm not 100% sure, but certainly there's a lot of outlets out there that are, let's say, they're excited about this upcoming season for the Lakers. So we'll take a look at that as well. NBA news, just a couple NBA stories that I have out there. Was it ESPN did it, or was it a different? Let me see which one did it. 10 players that could define the NBA season. And ESPN did this. I think they put this out yesterday or today, whenever they did. But there is a Laker on that list. So we'll get into that. A couple other things around the NBA. We'll talk a little bit about the playoffs from yesterday. God dang it. Talk a little bit about the playoffs yesterday. Then we'll hit a little bit on the Rams and the Niners. Not much, just a little bit. If I'm going to be honest with everybody, I was on a depression walk. So I didn't really get to see Rams and the Niners, but obviously I did get myself prepped for the show today. Got the weekend preview, which we'll just look at what's going on in Major League Baseball, NBA preseason games, NFL's full schedule. Then we'll also look at NCAA football, and then we'll call it a week. So thank you for being here. Appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Fun to this will be my first full week, Monday through Friday, since I think late July is when we stopped. August, we started doing a few days a week. So to be able to kind of get back Monday through Friday is it's fun to obviously get started with everybody again. Okay, let me start off with this. Well, actually, let's take a look at a couple of the comments here. Let's see what we got here. Ocean Breeze, who's done a great job of sending us some quotes. Weak people seek revenge. Strong people forgive. Intelligent people ignore. Damn. That's phenomenal right there. That's great stuff right there. Here's another one here. Morning Slee. Just hit up a small coffee shop called Starbucks. Have you been? Never been before. Tell me a little bit more about it. When you get a chance, cue me in on it. Let me know if it's any good or not. Let's get a couple more comments here before we'll bring Trev on here in just a second. I don't believe it until I see it, but we finished third last year and very arguably improved the roster overall. I think Dub9 is talking about how it was how do I put this? It was a lot of those different rankings that are out there that are, let's say, giving the advantage to the Lakers, put them top 5, top 6, whatever the case is. Some people are going to hold some hesitation on that. I don't blame you. Link Hammer. Link, thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Brand new YouTube member. If you want to be an MVP member, just click on the link to join. If I read correctly here on YouTube as well, you could do it now off your phone, where before you couldn't join off your phone. Now you can be a YouTube member if you're watching the phone on your phone, watching the show on your phone. $3 a month, MVP member, great way to support the channel. So I appreciate everybody being a part of it. And Link, I appreciate you very much for being a member. Okay, let's bring in our guest for today, Trevor Lane himself. What's going on, Trev?
Hey, Alan, how you doing?
Good morning, brother.
I'm doing great because
you ready?
It's game day.
There you go.
Let's go.
There you go.
Lakers are back.
Yeah, if there's one person who's I know been circling this date on their calendar, ready to go, it's none other than Trevor Lane. Here's a beauty, Trev. Now we could, kind of start reacting to games a little bit. We got a little bit more discussion. We can talk about the positives, the negatives. That all kind of starts tonight. And I'm not to say that a preseason game is, it's not like they're going to play 40 minutes for Luka and every game plan that we could think of gets released tonight. But I think you would agree it's really, really great when we get to this point, because now we could actually really kind of start analyzing some of these games.
Yeah, I mean, the downside is what we tend to do with these games, because we're so basketball starved, is we overreact. We overanalyze everything that we see, and everybody that's good will be great forever, and everybody that's bad is going to be bad forever. And so we try to stay grounded, but we do get actual basketball on the floor, and we do get a glimpse into what the Lakers are thinking stylistically, strategically. We get some ideas of improvements the players have made, and all of those things, all of the hypotheticals that we've talked about, looking at the roster when they get on the floor. We think this will be an issue. We think this will be a strength. All of that starts to finally come together and actually play out in real time. And so that's the exciting part of all of this, is we get to break down what's happening on the floor. The Lakers are back. Basketball is back. The NBA is back. It is a wonderful, wonderful time of year in professional sports.
You agree, right? I mean, I'm already kind of pressuring you on this one, but you agree there is no better month than the month of October when it comes to sports?
Yeah, I mean, you've got the NFL season in full swing.
They're all there. Everything's colliding.
You've got baseball getting into the playoffs. You've got the NBA coming back. October is back. I despise August. September even is right there too. October, man, it's like the clouds clear, the sun is shining, and finally we've got basketball back, plus everything else going on in the sports world. It is a great month, no question.
Yeah, August is brutal. August, like we should skip August. I don't know how we can do that, but if there's a way, we should entertain it. Okay, let's I guess I'm just curious from your perspective. Preseason basketball starts tonight. Lakers will play 6 games. By the time you and I, we get to Monday, they already got 2 games under their belt. What's your expectations? What are you looking for? What are you hoping to see the Lakers, not just necessarily tonight, but what are you hoping over these 6 games that they're able to accomplish, where by the time you get to the regular season, you're saying to yourself, okay, I think this team's ready?
I think the number one thing, well, I guess truly number one would be health, right? Stay healthy. Nobody get hurt in preseason, any of that. But really, I just want to see the chemistry built up with some of the new guys, especially with how big of a role Deandre Ayton's going to play. You want to see that chemistry start to form. And 6 games is not enough time to fully accomplish that mission, but you want to see them just work through some of any little hiccups and things like that you may have. Stylistically, we've heard that they're going to play faster on the offensive end. Great. That inherently, that change is going to create some bumps in the road that you're going to have to work through as you adjust, as you get the timing down and all of that. Fantastic. I want to see them work through that defensively. We're talking about pressuring more on the perimeter. We're hearing that from JJ Redick when it comes to Marcus Smart, Jared Vanderbilt. Great. Let's see what that looks like. What does the communication piece look like? Again, going back to Deandre Ayton. So those are the types of things, just kind of smoothing out those rough edges as much as possible, building that chemistry, as well as players starting to settle into their roles and figuring out exactly what those roles are going to be. I think that's the biggest thing. Of course, stay healthy above all else, but it's just getting the timing, the rhythm of it, everything else ready for opening night. And, Alan, we may not see LeBron at all in preseason.
Sure,
I don't think that's a given. So what I'm talking about accomplishing may be a bit of a challenge because you're not going to have necessarily the full team out there on the floor.
Who do you think, from a rotation perspective, we could list? I mean, there's a number of guys on this team that are obviously going to be also fighting for some playing time. Some of that is going to depend on injuries. Some of that is going to depend, maybe not injuries, but it's going to depend on health, fit, games, matches. There's a lot that goes into it. Are there some players that, you're wondering, I don't know if this guy is going to get consistent minutes? What players I think would be up in the air from your opinion? It could be vets like Gabe Vincent. It could be youngsters like Dalton Knecht. I'm just curious who you think is going to be really having to fight and prove themselves.
Yeah, I think those are two good names. Now, Gabe Vincent was already mentioned by JJ Redick as somebody that was going to be a lock in their guard rotation. He mentioned the attention to detail that he brings. I'm paraphrasing, but the just being a professional, essentially. He's in the right spots at the right times. He's going to go out there. I think JJ called him a laser. He's a guy that can play on or off the ball. So I think Gabe.
So basically, they're trying to trade him.
They're pumping up that trade value, that $11.5 million contract.
There you go.
But he did not mention Dalton Knecht, and so I think that is the number one guy to keep an eye on. That is kind of on that bubble. JJ used if you want to use the word excuse, we can call it explanation, whatever, that he was winded. He was out of gas during the summer, and that's why he was so poor.
Yeah, he overworked or something like that.
Yeah. It said he overdid it in training. And, to me, it does have the ring of truth. When I interviewed Austin Reaves back in June, Reaves said he had heard Dalton was doing 3-a-day workouts at that point. So, okay, yeah, I mean, this had been a thing, but that was the explanation, was that Dalton Knecht, he was so bad in summer league because his legs were just gone, because he had trained too much, he overdid it. And now he's back and he's much better and he's winning these conditioning drills and all of that. So is that accurate or not? That's going to be a big factor here for Knecht, because if he's the guy that he was during summer league, he's not getting off the bench for the Lakers. If he's the guy that we saw last year during the season, though, that could come in and catch fire in an instant and can hit threes and be a 3-level scorer, and if we see improvements off of that, maybe he is a guy that challenges for some minutes, especially since the Lakers, per 100 possessions, were the worst scoring bench in the NBA.
Oof.
Dalton Knecht is a guy that could certainly help with something like that. So he's a guy that I really think is on that bubble. And when we're talking about who could influence their role the most in preseason, I think it is him, because he's somebody that could fit, but he's got to prove that he's back. And what we saw in July was just a blip on the radar, was an anomaly, and is not really what he is as a basketball player.
Yeah, he's there's a number of different ways to look at it. Let's just say hypothetically he doesn't crack the rotation, he's not getting much playing time, and the rest of the league doesn't really know, hey, is this guy can he be a rotational player in the NBA or not? All of a sudden, from an asset perspective, what happens from that perspective? I don't know. We just mentioned Gabe Vincent, right? I'm just another name I'm throwing out there.
Yeah,
I think that's going to be that. It's not JJ Redick's problem. JJ Redick's problem is not, I'm going to play guys to heighten their value around the league, so then Rob Pelinka can go trade them. What Pelinka's job is very simple. I got to win as many games as I possibly can in the regular season without driving my guys to the ground, so that hopefully they're fresh for the postseason. But I think it's tough to look at this team and not look at a couple of these players and say, hey, will they be on the roster by the time we get past the trade deadline?
Yeah.
I have no idea. I know Pelinka's been very aggressive during the trade deadlines.
Yeah, and a lot of that will be determined by how they play leading up to roughly December 15th, which is kind of the evaluation period around the NBA to when most, not all, but most of the players who sign contracts over the summer become trade eligible. So there will be that window to find out what the team has, what they don't have, and then the Lakers will respond on the trade front accordingly. I know they want to be aggressive. I know they want to win right now, and they're willing to surrender assets to do that. The question is going to be, what are those assets? What kind of value can they get? But what's interesting, Alan, is you look around the NBA, you talk about Dalton Knecht, what's his value going to be? That pendulum can swing very, very far. I think farther than we've ever seen, because now we're at a point where if guys are questionable in terms of whether or not they are worth their rookie contract, in years past, it's just been, okay, that he's on a rookie deal, no big deal. We'll keep developing him and see what happens. Now we're seeing those guys get cut. We're seeing that happen. I mean, Kobe Buffkin got salary dumped. Nick Smith is on the Lakers because he was on a rookie contract with the Hornets, and they said, no, we're moving on already. The Lakers last year was in the Luka trade, but they salary dumped Jalen Hood-Schifino a year and a half into his career. These are first-round picks that are getting moved on from very, very quickly. So I think there is that. The floor is now lower on first-round picks because under today's salary cap environment, you can't have a guy on your roster that isn't producing or isn't looking like they are developing. So if Dalton Knecht looks as bad as he did last year, what I'm saying is in terms of value on the trade front, or as bad as he did last summer, that value might flip to the point where he's actually a negative value contract where a team wouldn't even give up something to go get him. It could swing the other way too, though, where I mean, clearly the Hornets were excited about getting him in that rescinded Mark Williams trade. So fingers crossed. Hopefully he plays well, because as an asset, the range of outcomes is very, very wide for Dalton Knecht.
We'll see what happens. I know that's a name that it's kind of been thrown around here, especially since he got traded and then was obviously brought back. Okay, quick question on, I know JJ's not going to make any mention of it, and he's already said he's not going to talk about the starting lineup, so that's going to be what it is. Earlier this week, I kind of threw out the starting lineup I want to see, and a lot of this is going to be predicated on health. You and I were having a conversation. You had me on probably, I think maybe 2 weeks ago or so. It came on Lakers Nation, and in our conversation, you sparked something for me that I think was like, all right, you know what, that makes more sense. Maybe this could potentially be a starting lineup. I had LeBron, Luka, I had Deandre Ayton, I had Austin Reaves, and I had Vando as the fifth starter for the Lakers. When we were having our chat, it was more about the conversation of, well, just have Luka not guard anybody from a backcourt unless it's a player in that backcourt that's just not effective. That way you can put potentially a guy like Vando, you can use Marcus Smart, whatever the case is, but that does mean you're pulling Rui Hachimura out of the starting lineup. If you had, and I don't know how much you've talked about this on Lakers Nation or whatever the case is, do you have a starting lineup that you want to see if health is not an issue? And I just say that because Marcus Smart's got to obviously be healthy if you want to have him there. There's other factors that come into play.
I do, and it involves Smart in place of Vando in your lineup, but I think for the same reasons as you've got Jared Vanderbilt in there, and it's defense and specifically guard defense. I'm considering defensively Luka as a wing. I'm not considering him a guard defensively. Now, offensively, of course, he is going to have the ball in his hands. He will act in more of a guard role. So, but on the defensive side, I don't want him chasing guards. So I want somebody out there in his place defensively in the backcourt that can chase guards. And I think Jared Vanderbilt certainly can do that. And maybe now that we're hearing positive things, Jake LaRavia talked about it at practice the other day about Vando shooting, I don't want to just assume that box is checked. I mean, it's been years that we've been saying, oh, if only Jared Vanderbilt could learn how to shoot. But if there's any chance that it's real, and I do think that the form looks better, then Jared Vanderbilt, I think, becomes a even more serious contender to join the starting lineup. I still think, though, Alan, the most likely starting lineup by a decent amount involves Rui Hachimura, just for the sake of continuity. I just think in terms of getting all the puzzle pieces to fit and adding the defense around LeBron, Austin, and Luka that you're going to need, as well as DeAndre Ayton, a guy like Smart, a guy like Vando makes the most sense. It's not the direction I think they're going to go. I think they're going to wait until it's proven that starting lineup with Rui in it is too deficient on the defensive side before they make any kind of a change like that to pull Rui out of a starting job.
Yeah, it's funny because I think there's so many players, and not that, again, it's not JJ's problem that guys are going to be in their contract year and they're trying to prove a guy like Rui Hachimura, I got a lot of value in the league. It's going to be an interesting thing to weigh. Is it just as simple as, guys, they didn't have a center last year that they could depend on, so Ayton will clean up a lot of that stuff that we saw, the defensive deficiencies last season? I don't think it is. I think it's going to need to be more than that. But so you got Marcus Smart in there, hypothetically. I think we both got Rui coming off the bench, and I think we both agree that Rui's probably not coming off the bench. So that's how Lakers will probably end up playing that. Ayton, give me your level of confidence, because I will tell you, for me, I know how important he is. I know how important of a year it is for him. I have my hesitations. I would love to sit here and say, man, Ayton's going to have the best year of his career. I don't know if my hesitations are his game. I don't know if my hesitations are maybe his motivation. I don't know. But the fact that he's had some stops where, you're asking that question, I think it's safe to say I got some hesitations. How do you feel about Deandre Ayton?
Yeah, confidence-wise, I think I'm like a 7 out of 10. And that's, you hate going back and looking at the film on a player and seeing motor issues. And that's what you see when you go back and you look at Deandre Ayton and you're like, man, it's been so long that's been an issue. Is that just who he is? And that would be certainly unfortunate for the Lakers. I've also got concerns about the rim protection ability. Now, that being said, he has also said all of the right things since from media day on. Every time he's had an opportunity to talk, he's talked about how the Lakers are going to get angry Ayton, about how, he's finally in a place where what he's doing matters, how he's not going to let the opportunity pass him by. He's going to take advantage of this situation, how he wants to be that defensive anchor. He wants his guards to know he's got them when he's setting screens. He's going to be rolling hard to the basket. All of these things, everything, all the context around DeAndre Ayton says this is it. This is his chance. He knows that this is his chance. Everything about this situation says he should have a phenomenal year, a career year with the Lakers. But everything you go back and you look at, you see the motor concerns, you see some issues there. And it gives you that little bit, as you said, that hesitation right now with him. So I'll believe it when I see it, but I'm getting more optimistic that it's going to happen based on what he's saying. There's a difference between saying and doing, of course. And he hasn't been able to show fans certainly anything just yet. But as of this point, I think he has said all the right things, checked all the boxes, and I'm going to be cautiously optimistic that it's really going to work out. And Alan, I think it's massive that it does work out for the Lakers. I think he is the X factor.
It's everything.
They need him to work out in a big, big way.
Yeah, it's everything. I think there's, a piece, as much as we want to kind of talk, we could go anywhere of conversation around the Lakers. If DeAndre Ayton does not have a good season, if DeAndre Ayton isn't one of the highlights for the Lakers this upcoming year, Trevor, it's going to be tough to overcome that. They need him as much as they need any player on that roster. Yes, you need Luka to be Luka. Yes, you need Austin Reaves to continue to be an effective player the way he has. Yes, you need LeBron to be good to swing. All that, to be honest with you, I don't even know what it means unless DeAndre Ayton is I don't need to throw numbers out there, but obviously a double-double a game and a presence on the defensive side, somebody who's motivated. I just don't know what they can accomplish, or at least the goals they want to accomplish, if he's not great in his role. So we'll see how that plays out. But yeah, I'm with you. I have this, sometimes you want to have blind faith in certain people. Let's put it this way. Marcus Smart, I don't question. I just don't know if he's healthy.
Yeah.
But I don't have any questions after that. It's just, is Marcus Smart healthy enough to be a version of the player that he was with can he be 80% of what he was with the Boston Celtics? If he is, it's a pretty damn good player in the league.
Absolutely.
And I think he'll be able to help the Lakers. Ayton, I feel like there's other factors that are in play. Maybe I'm just fighting myself here and he's just going to shut me up at least. But I've been emphasizing, at least for a while here, that I just think everything kind of circles around him to get everything else going properly.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the best pick and roll bigs in the NBA when you look at his efficiency there. Now he's going to be running it with Luka Doncic. The size, the rebounding, he's had, I think, a very highly likely to be a top 10 rebounder on both sides of the ball, defensive rebounds and offensive rebounds. I think there's a lot to like about his game and the way he can fit. But those areas that he's got to get better at in terms of the rim protection, I don't think he's ever reached anywhere close to his potential as a defensive player. He's got to get there this year. The motor issues, especially if the Lakers want to play faster. We know he likes to be involved in the offensive end. He's not going to be getting the ball much if he's not getting down the court and joining this Lakers team on these hit-aheads. If he does, I think we're going to see opportunities for DeAndre Ayton rolling down the paint with no big in the middle because the Lakers have got them spread out. So this is going to be, I think, a huge season, a massively productive season that it could very well be the best season of his career. The door is open for him. He just has to walk through it. And because we've seen some questions about the motivation in the past, that's where I'm going to refrain from just being all in on DeAndre Ayton. But he's incredibly important for this Lakers team. They're going to run a lot of pick and roll with Luka. And the opportunity is here, Alan, for us to be watching, starting tonight, the Lakers center for the next 5 years. That is what is at stake this season. It's not just this year. It's not just this contract. It's not just this season. It is, will DeAndre Ayton be the guy for the Lakers for the foreseeable future, the partner with Luka Doncic? That is what is at stake. That is in the range of outcomes. That's really exciting. But now we have to see DeAndre Ayton follow through and walk through that door.
I think one player that a lot of Laker fans are going to learn a lot more about over the next 30 days or so. Yes, you can see some of his highlights. I don't know, maybe you were watching a lot of Sacramento Kings games or a lot of Memphis Grizzlies games or whatever the case is. But I have this, I'm not even 100% sure why, but I'm really excited about Jake LaRavia. I am. I'm curious to see the type of player that he can be, how he can potentially flourish with the Lakers. I will say in his presser on media day, very comfortable, very confident. Looks like, let's get started here and I'll show you guys what I can do. What do you make of him and his role with the Lakers?
Yeah, Jake LaRavia, I think, is the kind of player the Lakers have been lacking for a long time. They've needed more players like him, and that's guys who, in theory, and he is still a bit of a question mark. There's a reason why they got him at $12 million over 2 years, but that can be a two-way player that can play both sides of the basketball. And for years now, going back to the Darvin Ham days, the Lakers had a roster with too many guys who were offensive players or defensive players, but not both. I think Jake LaRavia has got the potential to be both of those things. We've already heard out of training camp that he's been defending 1 through 4. I don't know if we expect him to do that during regular season games, but in a pinch, he can help you out and be a very versatile defensive player. Is he replacing Dorian Finney-Smith? No, I think it's a mistake to look at him and say he is the immediate Finney-Smith replacement. They're a very different player stylistically, even defensively. They go about defending in a very different way. But I do think that Jake LaRavia can be that kind of Swiss Army knife glue guy where, do you need him to attack a closeout on the offensive end? Do you need him to make the right read and make a pass? Do you need him to knock down a three? Do you need him to attack the basket? He can do all of those things. Defensively, he can be switchy. He can go onto a number of different players. I think he's the kind of guy that is going to be able to be used in a lot of different roles. Whatever the Lakers need him to, he can hop in. And that's what's really exciting, because that's what the current NBA is all about. It's all about guys that have the ability to do just about anything out there on the floor, that don't have an obvious and glaring weakness for teams to attack. Now, that doesn't mean that he's at that level right now, but the potential is there for him to get to that level. And with the growth we've seen so far, I'm optimistic that he's going to get there. Look, the Grizzlies already admitted they blew it when they did. I was shocked. Was it last summer when they didn't pick up his team option? I thought, oh my God, what are they doing? And they've admitted since then that they made a mistake. He wound up in Sacramento. There were multiple Pacific Division teams that were after Jake LaRavia that wanted to sign him, and the Lakers got him. And I think it was a good sign that he picked the Lakers and joining LA, because I think he's going to be a great fit here.
Now, have you ever done a show or a podcast where We're almost a half hour in, and I have yet to mention LeBron, Luka, or Austin Reaves. I think this might be the first time. This might be the first
Right?
time. That's a long time without mentioning those three players. I was doing this exercise yesterday when I'm doing the show, and I swear this isn't even about like trying to overhype Luka, but I wanted to go back and I'm like, whatever last season was, I really don't think we got anywhere near the real version of Luka. And what I'm
Yeah.
talking about, Trev, if you go look at some of his numbers early in his career in Dallas, go look at the year they went to the Western Conference Finals. Go look at his stats. I mean, the year they went to the NBA Finals, ended up losing against Boston. He was 34, 9, and 9.8 was his stats. Okay. He's not a player that's won MVP yet, but basically since his rookie year, he's had the accolades of getting votes as an MVP. And last year was the only year that, none of that was a part of it. And I'm going to wash last year. If you told me that Luka came into camp this year looking the same way that he did towards the end of last season, then I would have some concerns. I'm just expecting what could be the best season we've ever seen from Luka Doncic at age 26, his experience. The whole Dallas thing is out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's a new chapter. He got his contract as well. Am I overhyping what this probably is going to be for Luka Doncic? Am I overhyping that we're going to have nights where you and I are doing a post-game show? You're doing it for Lakers Nation. I'm doing it here. And we're both saying, what the F did we just watch from Luka Doncic? I feel like that's coming this year. And I really, I'm as excited to watch an individual player this year that I have been for a really long time.
Yeah, because he is that good. We could see the first Lakers MVP since Kobe this year. That is very much in the realm of possibilities. Now, are there other great players in the league that are going to be slotted ahead of him right now in the betting odds and all of that? Yeah, I mean, we talk about Jokic and of course SGA, guys like Giannis. Look, there's great players,
but you can't go past that. Like that's and what you just said, that's the list. Like that, right? You're not going. However you want to put it. And Jokic, maybe he's just another MVP. Shea maybe finds a way to grow even more from what he already has. You're not getting to number 3 or number 4 max without saying, yeah, what about Luka? Lakers got one of those guys.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is why when people say, well, but would the Lakers actually be better with AD? Would they have been made a deeper playoff run? This is why you go and you make this move. This is why you deal with, as Rob Pelinka said, building the plane while it's already in the air last season of the sudden turmoil. I mean, we were talking before the Luka trade, we were talking about how the Lakers needed to go get another big. And then they traded their starting big for a guy who offensively is a guard in Luka Doncic, but he's one of the very best in the NBA. It's why you go through that turmoil in order to go get him. Now you've got your superstar that you're building around. You may also have the skinnier version of Luka Doncic, the locked-in version of Luka. Based on what we saw at Eurobasket, we are in for a treat this season if he continues to perform at that level. He is one of the very, very best in the NBA. And I don't think, given the fact that he was coming off of an injury, emotionally and mentally, he was dealing with that trade, he still did incredible stuff on a nightly basis. But I think now we're going to see that next level for Luka. He is now committed to the Lakers. He signed that contract extension. He knows he's the guy the Lakers are building around for the foreseeable future. So I'm really excited about what Luka is going to look like in a Lakers jersey this season, what this can mean for LA. Like I said, if they win enough games, we could, and I think LeBron got robbed, in 2021 when Solomon Hill rolled up on his ankle. I think he was going to win the MVP that year. But we could very well see the next Lakers MVP this season.
Yeah, it feels like, and I think one thing sometimes you get with players, and this isn't even a shot at any other players because it's certainly not any of the guys that we just mentioned a second ago. Sometimes you can have just stats and maybe they're empty stats or maybe how effective were those stats. That's not Luka. I mean, you're going to need every one of his assists. You're going to need, obviously, every one of his rebounds. If he's dropping 35, 40, 50 points, you're going to need all of that. I mean, that's kind of how he's been his entire career. But no, I'm with you. I'm expecting we're going to have nights where, it's different too. I remember when Lakers traded for AD, It's like, oh my gosh, they got Anthony Davis. There's going to be nights where he had 40 and 20, and you're going to be like, this is incredible, amazing. And it's not that AD wouldn't do that, but those were more when he did do it, it was like, wow, that's a rare night. Luka, I feel like, is going to be 35, 9, and 9 on a Tuesday night, and we're going to be talking about how Rui had 18. It's just going to be the norm for a player like obviously for Luka. So okay, one thing here, and I just got two more for you, and I appreciate your time, brother. Reaves situation, and when I say Reaves situation, you can go with it wherever you want.
Sure.
Where do you think he is right now? Because here's Austin Reaves that clearly heard all the noise in the offseason. Even had a quote, something saying that he thought at one point he was going to get traded. We know, and you've obviously have had conversations with him as well. But we know also even his agent felt like he had to go out of his way and post a comment during the summer, basically saying, these backup centers for Austin Reaves, whatever the tweet was.
The Daniel Gafford for Austin Reaves, should the Lakers make that trade? Those conversations taking place.
My question is not trade Reaves, that. Where do you think Reaves is mentally? It's a contract year. It's a critical year for him. There's a lot of noise around Austin Reaves. And frankly, I don't know what percentage you think, but I think there's a good percentage of Laker fans. If there's, for every 5 people that say, I like Austin Reaves, there's 5 more saying, ship this guy out of here. Where do you think Reaves is from that perspective? And do you think that affects him at all this year?
I don't think it does. I think he just focuses on what he does on the floor, because if he does that, everything else takes care of itself. If he goes out there and he's putting up, he put up 26-5 last year, which is incredible. But if he goes out and puts up 22-6-5 this season and takes another step forward defensively, I don't think anybody's going to be complaining about Austin Reaves this season. I understand stylistically there's reasons why we can question the fit with Luka Doncic. I think there are some real concerns there that they're going to have to figure out a way to make those things work. And if they can't, obviously the Lakers are going to have to make some difficult decisions there. But I think Austin, in terms of his mentality, he had this conversation with me that he's basically been hearing his entire life, like, you're not good enough. You're not what an NBA player is, right? This is not what your path is going to be. So this is not something new for him. Like, he's been hearing it's not going to work his whole life, right? And now he's had the opportunity to continue to overcome that narrative year after year after year, and he's done a great job. Obviously, he's got an NBA contract. He's a starter on the Lakers of all teams, right? He's turning heads. He says that he thinks he can be an all-star caliber player in this league. And so he's been fighting against the idea that he's not good enough. He's not the right fit for his entire playing career. And now he's got an opportunity to do that once again. And I do think his mind's going to be in the right place. From what I've seen, what I've heard about what he's doing in the gym, what he's doing in the weight room, he's done everything he can to really prepare himself for this season. He is really excited about playing with Luka Doncic this year and what they can be as a tandem and how all that can work in a backcourt on the offensive end and all of that. So I think we're in store for a big season for Austin Reaves. And I hope the fit concerns with Luka can ultimately get smoothed over, but I don't think the questions about his play are going to get to him too much. This is just part of what comes with being a Laker. If the last thing we see from you was not good, and it was not good in the playoffs, and he's the first to admit that it was awful in the playoffs, the performance that he had. But if that was the last thing that we saw from you, people are going to spend the summer questioning whether or not you're the right player, you're the right fit for this team. So I'm excited to see what he can do this year. Contract year, there's a lot obviously on the line for him, both in terms of what he can do individually as well as his fit with this team. But I don't think there's going to be any kind of a mental shortcoming here for Austin Reaves. I don't think that he is going to take a step back because of the pressure of the situation or too many fans questioning him or anything like that. Like I said, he's been dealing with that his entire career. It's
fascinating. They got so many players on this roster that are in contract years. Obviously have something to prove. I'm not worried about Austin Reaves. I think he's got tremendous amount of value and if hypothetically, if it's not with the Lakers, he's going to go get paid somewhere else.
Yeah.
But there is so much to weigh. And, I think what Austin Reaves is running into more than anything else is, can it work with Luka? That's it. It's. I don't think anybody's questioning Austin Reaves. I think they're just questioning the fit. And that's going to be something that, it's also going to fall on the shoulders of Rob Pelinka, and it's going to fall on the shoulders of that front office. It's a kind of a critical. He's the best asset that you have. Yeah. So if there's a player to be had, or a team that really wants Austin Reaves, or a team that thinks that they can sign him to an extension, and they want to, talk in the Austin Reaves business, I'm sure all these guys are going to be listening. Final one I got for you, and we'll call it a day. Trev, the LeBron stuff we've been hearing since the summer and everything else that kind of goes with. This is more just from this is an opinion from your perspective of everything that you've seen. 23rd year in his career, didn't get a 1+1, whether he wanted it or didn't. Up to you, whoever you want to believe. The fact that he's been in the league as long as he has, kind of listening to him during the presser on Monday, do you lean more towards this is LeBron's final year, or do you lean more towards LeBron will be a part of another training camp next year, whether that's with the Lakers or not?
Well, first of all, I don't think LeBron knows at this point whether or not this is going to be his last season. So, but just based on the way he spoke at media day, he didn't sound like a guy who was done anytime soon. Not when he was talking about, and there was something specific that stood out to me, Alan, and this is what he talked about: the love for the process and the grind of it all, and the preparation. Yeah, it's easy for a player to say, I love competing, right? I love being on the floor during the games. I love the crowd going crazy, right? That's the easy part to be in love with. When LeBron's saying he's still in love with the whole process of it, we're talking about the training, the ramp ups, everything that goes into the diet, everything that goes into being able to step on that floor. And it's a lot. That is the part of it that typically wears guys down. That's the side of it that when guys say, you know what, I'm going to call it a career, that's the part that they don't want to do anymore. The constant travel, the practice sessions, everything else that they've got to endure, all of the physical therapy stuff in order to get their bodies at the level that they need them to be at in order to compete. That's the stuff that wears guys down. So hearing LeBron say he loves all of that, right? Mm-hmm. That is, I think, a really positive sign that he has not lost that drive, that fire for the game and for competing at the highest level. So he doesn't sound like a guy who wants to be done necessarily this season. Maybe we get into the season and that changes. You never know. It was mid-season when Kobe announced that it was going to be his final year, but he sure seemed thrilled to be there at media day. He seemed to enjoy the whole process. He was telling jokes. He was in a great mood.
Oh, he was chilling. He was relaxed.
He was very relaxed. He just didn't seem like a guy that was looking forward to walking away from this at all. And so I think it's a good sign that LeBron will be extending his career past this year.
Trev, what are we? Less than 12 hours away. We could start watching some Lakers basketball. So that's coming up a little bit later tonight. My brother, I appreciate you coming on the show. I know we're going to connect soon. We'll get closer. We'll connect again as we get a little bit closer to that regular season starting. But thank you for coming on as always. Appreciate all your insight and enjoy the game tonight. Have a good weekend.
Same to you, Alan. Thank you for having me.
All right, brother. That is Trevor Lane right there. Okay, good stuff there from Trevor. I tried kind of starring a lot of the comments as we were going here that I can go back to. So some topics that we are hitting on that I want to certainly get everybody's opinion on and everything else. So we're going to do that here in just a second. Before we do, let's give a shout out to one of our partners. Shout out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. Thank you very much to Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm, entering agreement to year number 2 here on our YouTube channel. Proven trial lawyers. If you are a family member is dealing with any type of issue, a serious injury, a wrongful death case, they are injury attorneys and they could help anybody in the state of California. Shout out to the listeners. We've had a couple people now reach out. They went to wallacewins.com/Sliwa. They filled out the consultation, which, by the way, is a free consultation. You don't have to pay anything for it. Let's see if he can help you or see if he could point you in the right direction. There is also a phone number here. I'm going to give you guys one great example of what Brad Wallace and his team does. They were just over a month ago. An auto insurance company made a $1.25 million offer to one of Brad's clients whose case was going to a trial out in Palm Springs. But after Brad Wallace selected the jury and delivered his opening statement, the insurance company decided to pay Brad's full $2 million demand before the first witness was called to the stand. That's how you execute and win. This is, by the way, that's daily business for Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. There's a lot of injury attorneys out here in Southern California and the state of California. If you want the best in the business, it's Brad Wallace and his team at the Wallace firm. wallacewins.com/Sliwa, wallacewins.com/Sliwa, or click on the link in the description here on the YouTube page. So shout out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. Thank you to Trevor Lane for joining the show as well. Let me read a couple of these comments here, and then I got a few topics that I'm going to get into. And then we will call it a week. Back to Monday through Friday. I getting up early again and trying to sleep a little bit early. I don't know what's going on. I'm in preseason form right now. Okay, let me read a few of these comments. And this is going to jump around a little bit just because some of the conversations that we were having a little bit earlier. Rosemary had something on Dalton Knecht. Having 2 30-point games to your name as a rookie is pretty good. We were talking about what is the value of Dalton Knecht. I got to be honest with everybody. I'm not expecting too much from Dalton Knecht. I'm hoping he does well. I'm hoping he gets opportunities. I'm hoping he's an asset for the Lakers again. It was kind of a trip. Last year, beginning of the season, I'm not kidding when I tell you this. For about the first 2 months of the season, one of the biggest content providers around Lakers basketball was Dalton Knecht. Everyone wanted to talk about Dalton Knecht. It was kind of funny, but it's the truth. We were excited to see what he was doing. He had this unbelievable swag to his game. He was a sniper from the three-point line. And then that all of a sudden just kind of went away. And we know about the rescinded trade, and it feels like he never got his feet back on track again. I really, really am hoping that he can kind of turn in his second year where nothing's a surprise anymore, that he could be a real asset for the Lakers again. Jake LaRavia, better hope Knecht is still lost, or LaRavia better hope Knecht is still lost defensively, because I saw more offensive potential in Knecht in the early part of last season than LaRavia has shown over 3 or 4 years. I got to disagree with this one. I think LaRavia has got some real potential. I think Jake LaRavia's got some real potential. And they gave him, a contract. It's 2 years, $12 million. Not that it's crazy money, but I think he's going to get his playing time. Expect 18, 20 minutes a game from this guy, and he's going to get opportunities. So we'll see how it all works out. But I do think that LaRavia is definitely going to, not definitely, but I think LaRavia is going to get more opportunities than Dalton Knecht. At one point, Knecht was averaging 20 as a starter, 6 or 7 game stretch. It's a long time ago. Here's another one from Jesus. I wouldn't believe that Vando was shooting lights out. We always hear that, and it never shows during games. Let me tell you this. And there were some reports that Vando was shooting. I think Jake LaRavia, Trevor Lane just mentioned, LaRavia was mentioning that in one of the pressers. If I'm the other team and Vando's on the floor and everyone's starting to say that, hey, Vando's starting to hit threes, I'm 7 feet away from Jared Vanderbilt, and I'm telling him, Vando, if you can hit threes, go at it, my man. You hit 3 or 4 in a row, then we'll start worrying about you. But if the option is Austin Reaves, Luka Doncic, Deandre Ayton, LeBron James, or Jared Vanderbilt, I'm going to go ahead and take my chances with Vando. So Jesus, I think there's some truth to that. Again, I'm just going through some of these comments here, some of the ones I starred that was part of our conversation that we were having with Trevor. Let's get another one here. Ryan, if Ayton doesn't play well, then the Lakers will make a move midseason for another big. Austin Reaves will be the asset to bring that big man in. I don't think Ayton's going anywhere this year. I really don't. He's at such a discount. I think he's going to be here all year. And frankly, if they're going to go trade for another big man or whatever the case is, Ayton's really not in the way of anything unless a team just wants DeAndre Ayton. Ayton's here for $8 million, I want to say this year. Is it 6 or 8? I think it's 8. And then next year he has an option for around that same amount, and it's a player option. So big year for Deandre Ayton. I hate trying to sound dramatic. I think the season goes as Ayton goes this year. If Ayton is a legit center in the NBA, he's a top 10 big in the NBA, and he's proving his value, then I think the Lakers have a great potential of a really good season. If he doesn't, Luka can't do everything. They'll be exposed even more defensively. LeBron's going to be in his 23rd season. You need a big. You need a productive center. And hopefully Ayton provides that for the Lakers. Okay, let's get a couple more of these in here, and then I'll start looking at some of the comments more recent. DA has an all-star season. He is going to opt out. Then we're back where we started. He's going to want 40 a year. Yeah, I heard what Trevor said about if he has a good season, he could be the center for the Lakers for the next 4 or 5 years. That one's kind of hard to believe, to be honest with you. I don't know if I see Ayton here long-term, but, who knows? But I agree with, if he has a really good season, well, Ayton's going to opt out and go try to get, okay, maybe it's not 40 a year. If he can go get $25 million a year for 3 years, he's going to go grab it, right? Whatever that number is. I'm just making up a number. If it's $30 million a year, if it's $35 million a year, whatever number he can get, he's going to go try to get it. Here's one here basically saying that LeBron, probably not his final year because he's going to want a farewell tour. And then one more here from Rip Van Winkle. Unless AR turns into a 6'6" two-way guard, he won't fit with Luka. All right. I know a lot of people feel that way. So, listen, I don't question that. I told you guys, I think it was earlier this week, that as I sit here today, there's a little bit of, there's a little bit of me that, oh no, I understand if you're going to go make a move for AR and AR goes somewhere else. I completely get it. As long as it's the right piece back, I completely understand it. Get another one here. If Ayton stays healthy, we're going to see him. We're going to see he will be a bargain. He's already a bargain. I mean, the Lakers, there is zero risk they have in Deandre Ayton. Zero risk at all. So he's already a bargain, in my opinion. Already a bargain. Just because you're paying pennies on the dollar for him. Marcus Smart is already a bargain. Pennies on the dollar. Jake LaRavia, very, very low risk for Jake LaRavia. What's 2 years, $12 million? It's nothing in today's NBA. So there's some players that are on this team that have great value in their contracts. But there's also a lot of players that are playing for contracts, and we'll see what happens from there. Okay, I got a couple more things I want to do here, and I'll go back to some of these comments here in just a second. I was saying this a little bit earlier. Let me do this real quick on the preseason Lakers basketball. So Lakers will play their first preseason game. Just something to expect for tonight's game in the first preseason game. LeBron, Marcus Smart, Adu Thero, and Maxi Kleber all not playing in tonight's game. So there's 4 players that are not playing. I don't know how long LeBron we'll see if LeBron even plays in the preseason at all. Marcus Smart, disappointing that he's already dealing with something. And then Maxi Kleber is out for a few days, according to JJ Redick, after having a quad injury that occurred the first day of camp, and he's being evaluated by the medical staff. Here's another thing to expect in today's preseason game. Redick said that he's going to have players play short bursts against the Suns and avoid rotations that would keep them on the court for 8 to 10 minutes straight, 8 to 10 straight minutes. So he's probably going to 6 minutes here, half a quarter here, 3 minutes at the end of the second quarter, 3 minutes to start the third quarter, something like that, or end of the first quarter, second quarter. He also said that he'd be sensitive to Luka and Austin Reaves' workloads, in particular after Luka played a Eurobasket over the summer and Reaves has been pushing himself during camp. So what is he saying? He's basically saying don't expect that much from Austin Reaves and Luka, and don't expect guys to be playing long stint of minutes all in a row. So that's what you can expect in this first preseason game. Remember, there's 2 games this weekend. There's a game tonight and there's a game on Sunday. So you could probably expect both, and you probably maybe most likely won't see any of those players that I mentioned in LeBron, Adu, or Marcus Smart and Maxi Kleber. So that just gives you a little bit of an idea from that perspective for the first preseason game. hopefully that kind of gives you guys a little bit of idea what's happening, at least for tonight and potentially on Sunday. Okay, let's I want to share my screen with everybody here real quick. I mentioned this. There's Bleacher Report's doing their power rankings. I guess it's a little bit of a surprise to me. If you told me, hey, where are Lakers in the scope of the entire NBA? Where are they? Are they 7th best, 8th best, maybe 6th best, somewhere around there? You could start ranking some of these other teams. I'm a little surprised by this. I feel like most teams out there right now, or most of these networks, or most of these publishers, content creators, whatever the case is, this one's Bleacher Report. They had their power rankings basically from top to bottom, or from bottom to top in this case. Utah's number 30, 29 is the Brooklyn Nets. I'm going to scroll down here, show you where the Lakers are. And this is becoming, I think, more and more the trend around the Lakers. Everybody's got the Lakers pretty high. I want to do the top 10. By the way, San Antonio is number 11, so there's a team of the Western Conference. Clippers are number 10. Okay, this is Bleacher Report. Golden State is number 9. They got the Orlando Magic at number 8. A lot of people high on Orlando this year. They had a lot of injuries last year. Minnesota, number 7. Made it to the Western Conference Finals 2 years in a row. They got the Knicks at number 6. Most of these publishers have the Knicks higher than this, but they got the Knicks at number 6. And here are the Lakers again, number 5. I say this because I feel like there are a lot of people out there that are putting, all right, that was the wrong button there. I feel like there's a lot of people out there that got the Lakers top 5. Okay, there's another one right now. Bleacher Report's got the Lakers at number 5. To round up the rest of the top 5, Houston at number 4, Cleveland at number 3, Denver at number 2, and of course the Oklahoma City Thunder at number 1. So there you have it. Power rankings, Lakers at number 5. What does it mean? Listen, it truly doesn't mean anything. Once the season starts, the season starts. But I'm just a little surprised how many ESPN. I feel like a lot of people got the Lakers about top 5. So that's where the Lakers are right now, as far as the power rankings go. Okay, let me look at a couple of comments here, and then I'm going to hit on a couple things on the NBA, and then just a quick little weekend preview here, and then we're gonna call it a day. We're gonna call it a week. It's amazing how everyone in here can see and predict the future. Yes, all of us can. Yes, all of us. Not saying that Dalton isn't a good player. I just think he's the odd man out on this roster. Already was traded one second time as a child. Hey, Dave, I don't think you got to apologize for anything. I think you're right. I think that he's probably going to be the odd man out. And if he gets his opportunities are going to have to be perfect. He's going to have to over exceed whatever the expectations are to kind of get consistent rotational minutes. Listen, let me tell you who's going to get a bulk of the minutes, and then you guys can tell me how Knecht gets in. By the way, I'm rooting for Knecht. I want Knecht to get opportunities. I really do. He's only second year in the NBA. He's 24 years old. But let me give you the rotation. LeBron, Luka, Austin Reaves, Deandre Ayton, Rui Hachimura. Vando's going to get PT. Marcus Smart's going to get PT. Apparently, Gabe Vincent's going to get some PT. Jackson Hayes is going to get some minutes. Jake LaRavia is going to get minutes. That's 10. That's 10 right there. So, listen, is LeBron going to play every game? Probably not. Are there going to be some opportunities for some of these guys? Maybe. So, we'll see how that happens. But I don't think, by saying he's not going to get rotational minutes, I don't think you're saying anything bad about Dalton Knecht. I think you're being honest. Let's see here. Luka is already a first ballot Hall of Famer in his prime. His team should be ranked highly. Well, let me give you an example. Giannis is a phenomenal player. Top 3, top 4 in the NBA. Bucks aren't on that top 10 list. So it's not just, you have one of the best players in the world. It's what's the team look like. So hopefully that explains it as well. Slee have the Lakers at number 5. I think that's spot on. Okay, great stuff there. We did basically almost an hour straight of just Laker content right there. A couple things in the NBA. I thought this was a interesting list from ESPN. We'll just do this right now. I was going to save this, but no, we'll just do it real quick. Let me just kind of go through this. Why these 10 names could define the 2025-2026 NBA season. And because there's a Laker on here, I wanted to just share this with you guys real quick. That's a good question. Somebody's got a really, really good question there. I'm going to come back to that. Let me come back to that in just a second. So there's a Laker on this list. Again, this list is just primarily 10 names that could define the 2025-2026 season, obviously putting a lot of stock in these names. Giannis is on that list. Paolo Banchero is on that list of the Magic. Mike Brown's on that list because he's taken over a New York Knicks team. I'm going to skip that one. That one is really, I don't think, as relevant. De'Aaron Fox is on that list of the San Antonio Spurs. LeBron's on the list. So here's basically what they're saying here on LeBron. The reason why he's such a key piece and could define the season is, does it start becoming a story? Is LeBron not happy with the Lakers season this year? Is there more, as they say here, cryptic messages that are coming out, Rich Paul statements, all that stuff? Could that be a distraction for the Lakers? We'll have to wait and find out. Kawhi's also on that list. Kawhi's on that list for a number of different reasons. The Clippers obviously a little bit tainted right now. Adam Silver is on that list because of the Clippers investigation. Amen Thompson is on that list, absolute stud, and Trae Young is on that list. Something to keep in mind in regards to that. So I guess also for him is because he's dealing with potentially a maximum extension. Will they pay him? Will they not? If I read that one correctly. So that's one of the NBA things that I have on there that I wanted to put. And then I want to go back to this question right here. Somebody put on here, Slee, do you have Giannis over Luka? You know what? This is a phenomenal question. Phenomenal question. And Giannis is an absolute beast. I'm taking Luka over Giannis. I am. At this stage of Luka's career, what I feel like he's got to play for right now, the fact that he hasn't won a championship, the fact that he's on a new team, the fact that he looks like he's 20 pounds lighter and everything else, I'm taking Luka. By the way, people want to say Giannis. I mean, I get it. I don't have to argue. I'm not going to argue too much with you, but I'm taking Luka. I think if you look at a lot of the MVP odds, he's in front of Giannis. So I think a lot of the MVP odds have Jokic, have Shea, and then have Luka. And I think Giannis at number 4. But it's a good question. It's a great question. It's a great question. If you guys want to put your thoughts or opinions, feel free to do so as well. Okay. The only other things I have, I'm going to really just kind of start the weekend preview here. Let's start that actually weekend preview now. We'll do that, just kind of previewing what we got coming up for the weekend. Obviously, the Lakers have 2 games coming up, so they'll play tonight. Then they'll play again on Sunday. Sunday, I just want to see the game time. I know they got the Warriors on Sunday. So quick reminder, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, tonight's game's at 7, and then the game on Sunday is at 6:30. Right after both of these games, I'm going to be doing a post-game show. So feel free to tune in. We'll get our first chance to give reaction to it, just like we've been doing over the years. Would love to have you guys a part of the post-game show. Okay, couple things here as far as we get ready for the weekend preview. Just real quick, MLB playoffs, obviously yesterday. Shitty game for the San Diego Padres. Their season is done. They lose 3-1. Had opportunities, just no clutch players, to be honest with you. Just no clutch moments. If you're going to win a series in the playoffs, you need guys outside of even your stars that step up. For the Padres, Gavin Sheets or Jake Cronenworth. Like, you need other guys to step up. The Padres didn't have their main guys play well, other than Manny hitting 1 2-run homer, and they also didn't have any of their other guys that came through for them. There are some players that played okay, but for the most part, it didn't happen. The one thing that that really, really sucks if you're watching that game yesterday, awful call by the umpire. A 3-2 pitch after the Padres made it 3-1. Leadoff guy in the ninth. Actually, not the leadoff. Jackson Merrill hit a solo shot. Then Bogarts came up. And an awful 3-2 call that I really did think had a terrible effect on the game. And I actually thought the ump was really good up until that call. But he called a strike that was clearly a ball four. And then the Cubs hit 2 guys in a row. And, who knows? Maybe it changed the game. Maybe it didn't. Maybe they pulled their pitcher right after that. I have no idea. But, obviously next year, you're going to have that replay now on balls and strikes. You're going to get an opportunity to challenge it. Padres are a little, they didn't have that luxury of having it this year. But Cubs win 3-1. Tigers beat the Guardians 6-3. They're moving on. And the Red Sox, after winning game 1, I want to say are the first team after winning game 1 to lose 2 in a row since the wild card started. They lose to the Yankees 4-0. So what does that set up over the weekend? That sets up 4 games coming up tomorrow. Pretty cool to have 4 games tomorrow. Cubbies are at Milwaukee. Now all of a sudden I'm a Brewers fan. I'm all in on the Brewers. All right. I'm all in. I got New York goes to Toronto. That should be a phenomenal series as well. Dodgers, Philly. I think that's the 2 best teams left in Major League Baseball. Listen, I'm not watching the Yankees and Toronto every single game. I understand Milwaukee had the best record. I know Seattle was very, very hot to end the season, but I think the 2 best teams in Major League Baseball are the Dodgers and Philadelphia. So they got a game coming up tomorrow. That one's at 3:30-ish. And then Detroit is taking on Seattle. That's going to be the late game, 5:38. So a full slate of games on Friday or on Saturday and Sunday. So if you're looking for some baseball, you got some really good baseball coming up this weekend. I might just stop watching baseball now. I think I'm done. I'm retiring from baseball. I don't need to watch anything else. Rams hosted the Niners last night. Pretty good game. Rams had plenty of chances. Blocked extra point, missed field goal, kickoff mistake in overtime, a 4th down questionable call by Sean McVay in overtime. Niners win in overtime, 26-23. So the Niners now, I want to say 4-1. They're 3-0 in the NFC West. The Rams fall to 3-2. So Rams kind of miss a golden opportunity. Probably should have won that game, especially when they came back. I thought missed some golden chances. I was reading this morning, Sean McVay basically saying he screwed up. He shouldn't, if he can go back, he probably wouldn't have gone. I don't know if he regretted going for it on 4th down or the play call. Either way, that was the game. And the Niners, like I mentioned, are 4-1 now. As part of the weekend preview, NFL games coming up this weekend. I'm just trying to see, what good games are coming up, if there are any games that kind of stand out. Broncos, Eagles, if you want to call that a good game, that's one of the matchups. Trying to see here as far as standings go. Buccaneers and the Seahawks, 2 teams that are 3-1. Lions, Bengals, you want to call that a good game. Commanders, Chargers, 2-2 versus 3-1. Patriots and the Bills, and then Chiefs and the Jaguars on Monday Night Football. To be honest with you, not that many entertaining games coming up this weekend. And college football was the same way. I was looking at the college football schedule. Last week, you had powerhouses. You had Alabama, Georgia. You had Penn State taking on Oregon. You don't really have that this week in the top 25. Trying to see if there's any teams that are ranked top 25 that both play each other. Vanderbilt and Alabama, it's number 16 versus number 10. Miami versus Florida State, that's a badass game. Number 3 versus number 18. And that's it. There are no other top 25, 2 top 25 teams going up against each other. Penn State taking on UCLA at the Rose Bowl. Penn State probably will win by 67. Okay, let me read a final couple of comments, and then we're going to call it a day. Slee, Sunday's game's at 5:30. Is it at 5:30? All right, I was looking at the Lakers schedule. All right, if it's 5, you know what? I'll tell you right now. Let me tell you right now. Get my times right. I know there's 7 o'clock tonight, and then we got Sunday. Lakers are at 5:30. You're right. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. Thank you for correcting me on that. That's helpful, actually. 5:30. Get a little earlier of a start in. Okay, let me read a couple of the comments. We're going to call it a day. Weekend preview, of course, is presented by the Wallace firm. WallaceWins.com/Sliwa, WallaceWins.com/Sliwa. If you need anything, you need an injury attorney, go to the best in the business. It's Brad Wallace and the team over at the Wallace firm. Okay, let's take a quick look here. I want to get this back up. I'm going to look at a couple comments. I got to give a shout out. We had 2 new members today. Thank you to Link Hammer for becoming a YouTube member and MVP member. Thank you to Liam Grace. Thank you for becoming a YouTube member. I greatly appreciate that. If you want to be a YouTube member, just hit join. You could do that on your phone, or you can do it here on desktop, however you guys are consuming the show on YouTube. $3 a month. It's just a way to support the channel. I greatly appreciate all the members that are here. As the season starts, I will have content just for members, and I appreciate everybody being members. So thank you very much for doing that. Let's get a few more comments in here, and then we'll call it a day. Rams should have lost last week too. Rams choked. Okay, we're getting the they that's a game they probably should have won. And San Francisco, a game against the Niners is such a key game from a divisional perspective, and obviously that can't happen. Giannis is in his prime now. He's probably not getting better than he is now. Luka is not in it yet. This is the question of, would you rather have Giannis or – it's not even that question. The question is Giannis or Luka right now, and I said I'd rather go with Luka. He'll continue to get better. I'm taking Luka over Giannis moving forward. Giannis is a beast. Don't get me wrong, but I do think Luka's walking into it. Let's see here. Denver is stacked. Lakers will have to prove they're better. Okay. I agree with that one, by the way. I agree with that one. Okay. Let's see what else we have here. Some people got Nico on there. Okay. I think that's all we got. I will say this. Phenomenal weekend again coming up in sports. That's it. I'm not watching anything. That's it. Padres are out. I'm done. I literally went on a depression walk. That's what it was. It was a very, very long walk. Solid week this week, guys. I appreciate, now that we're back Monday through Friday, thank you for being here. I appreciate you guys making, obviously the show part of your mix. It means a lot to me. And yesterday we just hit our 1-year anniversary. So that was awesome. And I'm looking forward to, obviously now getting ready to start assessing games. I mean, that's the thing I love the most. It's cool to obviously do this. This is basically a talk show, right? That's what it is. But man, when we could start weaving in some of these games and reacting, I think that's where everything kind of becomes full circle. I'm back on tonight after the Lakers start preseason basketball against the Phoenix Suns. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for joining the show. Shout out to Trevor Lane for being the guest, and shout out to Brad Wallace of the Wallace firm for being our partner. Thank you, everybody. Hope you guys have a great weekend, and I will see you guys tonight after the Lakers take on the Phoenix Suns. Have a great rest of your Friday morning.